Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Today's video is about FOMO. So recently I was with a friend of mine and we were kind of walking along, and he was saying that he was really fed up with somebody he works with because she's constantly nosing in on every conversation and she wants to kind of be a part of everything. He said, you know, she's got chronic FOMO. And I looked at him really kind of blank and puzzled. So he looked at me and went, you know, fear of missing out. And kind of since then I've kind of researched this a bit, and I found various articles and videos and things online, and this is a really widely used term nowadays, even though it was completely new to me. You know, there is this feeling of anxiety that you are missing out, and it's basically this anxiety that somebody somewhere else is having a much better time than you and they are much happier as a result. And this is something I think that's kind of stemmed from our obsession with social media. I'm going to make a lot of kind of generalizations in this video, and I know that they don't apply to everybody, and I know not everybody uses social media or uses it in the same way, so excuse that. I'm just going to put that in as a bit of a disclaimer before we really get going. If I keep looking down, it's because I've got some notes, because as I say, I've looked into this a little bit and there's just a few things that I want to mention. I don't want to miss out. Sorry, my hair is driving me nuts today. So I would say that FOMO can manifest itself in a number of ways. There are people who will exhaust themselves purely so they can get to like a party or a gathering or whatever they think is the latest happening, you know, the latest premiere, the latest event, whatever. People are pushing themselves to get to these things because they don't want to miss out. They feel like it's going to be the best time ever and they don't want to be somebody sitting on the sidelines. The other way is, in the case of my friend's colleague, is, you know, wanting to be a part of every discussion, every meeting, again, because you don't want to miss out. Something important might be said, or they might choose somebody special to, you know, to have a fantastic experience. And the other thing I think is just, a lot of us are probably guilty of it in some level, I guess, is constantly updating your social media so that people know where you've been, who you've been with, what you had to eat, what you did there, and just presenting this really polished kind of digital version of yourself at all times. So that's kind of what FOMO is, and that's how it shows itself. I'm going to mention just a few statistics to kind of put our internet use and our social media use into some kind of context for you. And I found this pretty interesting, so I kind of hope you do too. Facebook has 1.4 billion users. 47% of the people who use the internet are on Facebook. So that's almost half of the people who actually use the internet. So, I mean, that shows you how much we're using that, really. Twitter has 284 million active users. 88% of Twitter users are using the mobile app. Yeah, they're using it on their mobile. Okay, if you think about it, how many times have you been out to a cafe, been out to a restaurant with friends, not just other people? I'm going to name and shame maybe. You know, I've been out with friends and everybody just stares at their phones. Hell, I probably do it sometimes as well. But, you know, like, how many times have you seen people doing that? You know, just constantly glued to their phone screens. You know, mobile apps, you know, are to do with that. Mobile internet usage is to do with that. So 88% of Twitter users are on their mobiles. 500 million tweets are sent every day. Okay, so think about all the hashtags, think about all the trends that people are constantly keeping up with. Okay, whilst I'm talking about Twitter, I'm going to say this one really shocked me. 28% of iPhone users, so over a quarter of the people who have an iPhone, check their Twitter feed before even getting up. So before they've even looked at the weather, thought about, you know, what they're doing for the day, had a drink, whatever, had breakfast, before they even get up, 28% of iPhone users are looking at Twitter. It's just, this blows my mind. I think it's a really kind of sad reflection of our society in some way. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, by the way, I didn't know that. Instagram has 300 million users and 70 million photos and videos are sent daily. Pinterest has 70 million users. Okay, you think about all the trends, all the haircuts, all the wedding dresses, all the holidays, all the house designs that you see on Pinterest, and how much people are, you know, how many people are pinning those and using it and sharing it. I mean, it's just massive. And in fact, they say that, well, research online says that 28% of all of the media time online is spent on social networks. So they're a massive part of our internet use, huge. And this is all without mentioning other really prominent apps and sites like Snapchat, Tumblr, Google+, all of those things. I haven't even gone into the statistics for those. Looking in terms of age range and habits, on average, 15 to 19-year-olds spend 3 hours a day checking social media on their smartphones. 3 hours every day. Okay? And it's not much better as you get older. 20 to 29-year-olds spend on average 2 hours a day looking at 6 apps every day on average. So, you know, you think about your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, all of those things, Tumblr, whatever. I mean, it's just mad. Anyway, I think I basically wanted to kind of split this into kind of categories. And I would say that FOMO, I think we would all agree that a lot of social media breeds envy. Yeah, FOMO is stemming from envy. It is. I mean, it's sad to admit it, I think, but I think when you're surrounded by all these updates, all these posts, pictures, whatever, I think people are envious of people's holidays, people's relationships, people's families, people's achievements in life, you know, and we take it so out of context. You know, we look at pictures and think, wow, they must be having a great time, or wow, that must have tasted great, or they look so great there, you know, I never look that great. And we don't think beyond that. You know, photos are retouched, photos are filtered, photos don't tell the whole story. I'm reminded really of a friend of mine who I know. She, on Facebook, it looks like she has the most wonderful relationship. Her boyfriend takes her away to these beautiful places, they have fantastic meals, go to really important events, and you just think, wow, her life looks so glamorous. And she spoke to me recently and said how unhappy she was with him. He was a real player, she didn't feel like she could trust him, you know. And I think if anybody just looked at the photos of their life, they would be convinced that she was the happiest person alive. But when you kind of go behind the scenes a bit, I think you find out that that's not the case. And that's so true. You know, you think of people's photos of holidays, they don't tell you that the flight was dreadful, or the food there was awful, or the accommodation was really bad, or you had some horrible neighbours, or actually you had a really scary experience. None of that is shown, is it? You know, pictures are so filtered and so edited, and we just show these snippets of our lives that aren't the whole thing, that aren't the full story. And we have to try and take all the social media updates with a pinch of salt, you know. And I mean, celebrities, you know, how many times have PR people fooled us that marriages are absolutely fine and people are really happy and they're happy about working with that director or that, you know, because it's all cleverly edited and they are very careful about what they show people and what they share with people. And the reality is a very different story, isn't it? So I find that kind of interesting. The other thing I wanted to say is I think this fear of missing out, we've got to admit it, stems from our insecurities. Yeah, if you're not happy in your looks, you're looking at somebody else and thinking, wow, they look amazing. If you think you haven't travelled enough or you want to travel more and you see somebody on holiday in Bali or somewhere and you think, wow, you know, they're so lucky, that looks so good, I'm so jealous, you know. But in that insecurity, you are failing to recognise your own self-worth and your own personal achievements. And, you know, I think you have to sit down and kind of go through actually what you've done with your life and what achievements you've done. And I'm not talking necessarily about qualifications or places you've been or job achievements, but maybe just small things like times you've been there for your family or your friends, or, you know, things like that. I think are really important. And I think we compare ourselves so much now with social media and things, that I think it's very easy for that to get lost and for us to think, wow, they've done so much more than me. You know, everybody is different, everybody has their own path, and yeah, I think we need to remember that. I don't want this to get too preachy, so I'm trying to kind of keep to my points. Basically, I think we overconnect. You know, people will say, oh, you share too much. And I've recently kind of edited things on Facebook, so I've got less friends, but it's, you know, you don't want to share too much of your life with people, really. And I would say, yeah, I was going to mention this talk that I watched recently. It is a TED talk. I love the TED, like, educational talks by some fantastic inspirational speakers. So if you can, check them out. You can see them on Netflix or on YouTube. Go there. The one I watched that inspired me to kind of look into this and write my blog post, which I will put a link to if you're interested, is a talk by a student from UNC Chapel Hill, which I imagine is somewhere in America. And he is called Bobby Mook. I hope I said that properly. His last name is spelled M-O-O-K. So I'm going to say Mook. Anyway, Bobby Mook is a great talk. Watch it if you can. It's on YouTube. Again, I'll link all this. He kind of starts off by mentioning, how often do you see people, everyone looking down at their phones? You know, we are so concerned with what is on our feeds, what we're doing, and, you know, posting things and keeping up to date with everything. And he said, you know, I agree completely with what he said, that it is stemming from our own insecurities. It is an envy, it is a kind of competition, but also he makes the point that while you're so concerned with this anxiety, you're actually missing out because you're lacking focus, and that's stopping you from actually achieving what you want to achieve. And that could be something simple, you know, if you're wasting all your time kind of looking at other people's relationships and thinking, oh wow, he's gone there, then they've done this, and blah, 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 then you're not getting out there and meeting people and, you know, and paving the way for your own relationship, are you, really? So it's kind of things like that. But the key point that he makes in his speech that really resonates with me is that FOMO is our body's natural alarm, and it's basically something we're not going to overcome. We can't get over FOMO. You can turn your phone off for a while, you can not check your feeds, whatever, but that feeling is probably still there for a lot of people. And it is because we're actually concerned with our own significance in the world. Okay, so he gives an example of a few questions that we're actually really asking and that we need to ask, we need to think about, because this is where our anxiety is coming from. Will I be remembered? Will anything I accomplish be important to others? Am I loved? Am I loved by my family? Am I loved by my friends? Am I worth anything? And I think on the surface those seem really basic questions, but actually if you delve into those, there's some really deep thinking there. And I think this is where we're at with social media. I think people are trying to find their place in the world. I think people are trying to find out what the meaning is of their life, what is their purpose, what is their significance. And he makes a really good point that this FOMO as a natural alarm is actually kind of waking you up to things that you need to focus on. And you need to ask yourself, what is it that I'm anxious about? What is it that I feel I'm missing or that I don't have? What am I seeing in these people's lives that I want in my life? And I think that's really important. So as I said before, that could be anything. I mean, you could be looking at somebody else's holiday and thinking, you know what, I want to travel more. I really need to take some time and plan a proper trip somewhere. Yeah, or you know, looking at people thinking, wow, they look like they're having a great time with their friends. I don't have that. So maybe you're thinking, I need to get out there more, I need to make more friends, I need to join some clubs, I need to go to some groups and meet people. You know, it could be anything. And I think that is what FOMO is telling us. That is where FOMO comes from, and that is how we need to manage it. We will not overcome it. Facebook, social media is becoming more and more prevalent in our society, and businesses use it. You know, everybody is getting sucked into it, really, if we're speaking generally here. And in a lot of ways that's great. You know, as I said before, modern technology is fantastic in a lot of ways, but we need to not let it get the better of us. I hope you liked this video. Please comment below, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, or what interests you. Any ideas for what you'd like to see next. I will leave various links to me and to the articles and the videos that I've kind of mentioned in this video. Yeah, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye.